All right, defensive tactics, section 2, part 1, learning objectives and competency answers. Define defensive tactics. Defensive tactics is a structured system of controlled defense and offensive body movements based on elements of martial arts, wrestling, and boxing. Officers use these techniques to legally and effectively respond to a subject's aggression or resistance. Apply strategies for optimal physical performance during a defensive tactics training program. To perform optimally and prevent injuries, officers must maintain regular, healthy daily habits. This includes consuming a nutritious, balanced diet, securing sufficient rest and sleep, staying thoroughly hydrated before and during training, and performing thorough stretching exercises daily to maximize joint flexibility. Demonstrate following techniques: front fall, issue loud, clear verbal commands, extend bent arms slightly forward, falling down to a prone position, absorb the impact by contacting the ground with the palms, forearms, and feet simultaneously. Use one palm if holding an unholstered weapon. Turn your head to the side and exhale forcefully on impact. A rear fall. Issue loud, clear verbal commands. Tuck the chin tightly to the chest. Squat low and roll backward smoothly. Pull arms in close or swing them outward at a 45-degree angle, forcefully striking the ground with both palms while exhaling to displace the shock. A side fall. Issue loud, clear verbal commands. Tuck the chin to the chest. Squat and roll toward the rear quarter of one side. Keep the body relaxed. Swing the landing side arm outward to strike the ground, palm down to absorb the shock, and exhale. Foundation. Issue loud, clear verbal commands. Prop your upper body up off the ground using an extended arm anchored behind you, posting. Keep your knees bent and flat and feet flat on the floor while holding your free hand up in a defensive guard position to block incoming strikes. Demonstrate recovery techniques. From the foundation position, issue loud verbal commands. Push off the ground to rapidly stand up while establishing a wide, structurally balanced base. Use the posting arm and legs to create physical distance from the threat. Keep your guard up to protect vital areas and immediately assume an appropriate defensive stance. Identify elements of the Florida statutes related to the use of force by criminal justice officers. Chapter 776 of the Florida State Statutes governs all physical force applications by Florida criminal justice officers. Section 776.05 of the Florida State Statutes explicitly dictates that an officer is never legally required to retreat or desist from making a lawful arrest due to a subject's resistance. Force is legally justified when the officer reasonably believes it is necessary to defend themselves or others from bodily harm during an arrest, to overcome resistance, or when preventing the escape of a fleeing felon under specific threatening conditions. Explain the provisions of Chapter 944 and 945 of the Florida State Statutes related to the use of force by state correctional and correctional probation officers. Chapter 945 of the Florida State Statutes sets forth that the Department of Corrections has legal jurisdiction over the care, custody, control, and supervision of inmates and probationers. Section 944.35 of the Florida State Statutes explicitly restricts correctional employees to applying physical force only when it is reasonably necessary. Authorized conditions include defending oneself or others from injury, preventing escapes, preventing property damage, quelling an active institution disturbance, overcoming active resistance to a lawful command, or administering authorized medical treatment under medical supervision. Explain the concept of objective reasonableness. Based on the landmark Supreme Court decision Graham versus Connor, objective reasonableness dictates that a court must evaluate an officer's use of force based entirely on how a reasonable officer on the scene would respond under identical facts and circumstances. The evaluation cannot use 20/20 hindsight and must acknowledge that officers make split-second choices in tense, uncertain situations. Explain that subject resistance and officer response may change rapidly. Physical confrontations are highly fluid, dynamic, and unpredictable. A subject's resistance can instantly escalate from passive to deadly, requiring the officer to immediately adapt their response up or down to match the shifting threat level. Apply the legal authority for an officer's response to a subject's resistance. An officer's right to use physical force is legally tethered to their official authority. Correctional officers possess full-time, structured authority over inmates as dictated by their criminal sentence. Law enforcement officers possess authority based on a reasonable suspicion or a probable cause that a crime has occurred, is occurring, or is imminent. Explain escalation, de-escalation, and disengagement. Escalation, an upward adjustment and the severity of force, options used by an officer to overcome increased subject resistance. De-escalation, a downward adjustment in force application as the subject complies and ceases resisting. Disengagement, breaking physical contact and backing away from the threat when control cannot be safely established or when tactical repositioning is required.